I'd planned everything perfectly. The small gathering in our apartment, the laughter of our closest friends, the cake with too many candles. And after the singing, after the first slice was cut, I was going to share the secret that had been blooming inside me for weeks. I was going to look into Justin's eyes, the man I'd loved for 3 years, and tell him we were going to have a baby. Instead, he handed me a gift box tied with a silk ribbon. My heart fluttered. Maybe it was an engagement ring. Maybe he'd somehow found out about the pregnancy and this was his own surprise. "I have something to say," Justin announced, his voice smooth as always, commanding the room. He smiled at me, that charming, heart-stopping smile that had drawn me in from the beginning. "Lily, you've made me so happy. You're special." The room cooed. Phones were raised, ready to capture the moment. I untied the ribbon with trembling fingers, my cheeks aching from smiling. I lifted the lid. Inside, nestled on a bed of tissue paper, was a single folded note. Confusion prickled at me. I unfolded it. The words were typed, stark and black against the white card. "I'm leaving you. You're useless and I deserve better. Your things will be packed by Monday." I read it once, then again. The letters swam. I looked up at Justin, my mouth open, waiting for the punchline, for him to laugh and pull a real gift from his pocket. But his smile had vanished. His expression was cold, detached, as if he were looking at a stranger, a stain on his perfect life. "We're done," he said, his voice loud and clear in the dead silence. "It's been fun, but I've outgrown you." And then he did the most chilling thing of all. He laughed, a short, derisive snort that echoed in the frozen room. A couple of our friends chuckled nervously, thinking it was a bad joke. But when Justin turned on his heel and walked out the front door without a backward glance, the truth crashed down on everyone. The silence was a physical thing, thick and suffocating. 20 pairs of eyes were glued to me, waiting for my collapse. I could feel their pity, their shock, their morbid curiosity. I stood there, the note a dead weight in my hand, my secret announcement rotting on my tongue. And then I smiled. It wasn't a happy smile. It was the slow, cold stretch of lips over teeth, a predator's smile. Because in that moment of utter devastation, a crystal-clear thought cut through the pain. He has no idea what I can do. He didn't know about the 2 pink lines on the test hidden in my bathroom cabinet. He didn't know about the secret credit card statements I'd found in his desk, detailing hotel rooms and diamond earrings that were never for me. He didn't know about the texts from M I'd seen flash on his Apple Watch, texts filled with heart emojis and plans that coincided with my late work nights. He thought he was the puppet master, engineering a brutal public execution of our relationship. He thought he held all the cards. He was wrong. The ashes. The party ended in a blur of mumbled condolences and awkward exits. My friend Barbara stayed, a silent pillar of rage and support. When the door closed on the last guest, the dam broke. I sobbed for the future I'd lost, for the humiliation burning my skin, for the innocent life inside me whose father was a coward. Barbara held me, her own tears hot against my temple. "We'll burn his world down," she whispered, her voice fierce. Slowly. I showed her everything: the pregnancy test, the credit card statements, the screenshots of texts to M, who we both knew was Maria, a woman who had eaten at our table, laughed at our jokes, and left my birthday party early, claiming a sudden illness. The grief began to harden into something else, a cold, focused determination. Revenge, I decided, wouldn't be messy or emotional. It would be a patient, precise demolition. The next day, Justin texted, "I'll be by at 7 to get my things. Make sure you're not there." The audacity was breathtaking. I replied with one word: no. He called, I declined. Then I called Barbara, who became my general. By 6:30 p.m., my apartment was fortified with friends. Aaron, a mountain of a man, Sergio, sharp and observant, my cousin Lana. A human wall of loyalty. Justin arrived to find this tribunal. His smug confidence faltered. Aaron handed him a single suitcase. The rest, he said, his voice leaving no room for argument, when you arrange a time and remember how to be a human being. Justin's eyes found mine, pleading, angry. Lily, this is ridiculous. I spoke from the couch, my voice eerily calm. You should be grateful I haven't changed the locks. We'll discuss your belongings once I've processed your birthday gift. He left, sputtering. The next morning, I changed the locks. The confirmation about Maria came from Sergio. He'd seen them together weeks ago, but hadn't wanted to believe it. The betrayal cut deeper, knowing it was someone I'd called a friend. I didn't confront them. I became a ghost in their narrative, silently gathering power. I saw my doctor, 10 weeks pregnant. I hired a lawyer. I froze joint accounts and opened new ones. I built a fortress of practicality around my crumbling heart. 2 weeks later, Justin requested a meeting at a coffee shop. He looked terrible, unshaven, shadows under his eyes. He launched into a rehearsed speech about feeling trapped and wanting a clean break. I let him finish. Then I asked, "Is Maria making you happy?" The color drained from his face. He stammered denials. I cut him off. The hotel on Fifth, the diamond studs from Tiffany's, the texts planning your business dinners. I know everything, Justin. This isn't a negotiation. You can collect the rest of your things Saturday. Aaron will supervise. After that, you speak to my lawyer. He grabbed my wrist. We don't need lawyers. How are you going to afford the apartment alone? Your job barely covers half. And there it was. The real fear. Not losing me, but losing his financial safety net. For the past year, my steady income had been subsidizing his lavish facade. He'd been living a lie, and I was the inconvenient truth he could no longer afford. I smiled, peeling his fingers from my arm. I'll manage. Unlike some, I save money. I don't spend it on secret hotel rooms. I left him there, a hollowed-out man realizing his grand exit had led him to a cliff's edge. The reckoning. Life settled into a new, quiet rhythm. I focused on work, prenatal vitamins, and building a nest for my baby. My bump grew, a gentle curve of future promise. Justin's texts began again, frantic, after he inevitably heard about the pregnancy. Are you pregnant? Why didn't you tell me? We need to talk. I ignored him until the night he showed up drunk, pounding on my door, his voice a slurry of demands and sobs. Lily, open up. We need to talk about our baby. I didn't open the door. I spoke through it, my hand on my stomach. You're drunk. Go home. He slumped against the door. Maria left me, he slurred, the truth spilling out in a pathetic confession. She said I'm a liar, that I'm not who I said I was. Sounds like it, I said, my voice without pity. He begged, he promised, he unraveled on my doorstep. I offered him one thread of grace, a meeting the next morning, sober. He showed up, a broken version of the charming man I loved. The meeting was a masterclass in boundary setting. I laid out the cold, hard facts of co-parenting, child support, scheduled visits, a relationship built on responsibility, not romance. He signed the papers without a fight, his ego finally crushed under the weight of reality. The universe, it seemed, had its own ironic sense of justice. I ran into Maria at Target. Instead of hostility, she offered a genuine apology. Justin had fed her the same lies, painting me as a jealous anchor holding him back. She was just another victim of his fiction. As we parted, she offered a final piece of intelligence. He lost his job, by the way. Thought you should know. When Justin came by that evening, anxious and suspicious after hearing I'd seen Maria, I saw the full collapse. No job, no girlfriend, no savings, just consequences. He broke down at my kitchen table. My life is over. For the first time, I didn't see the villain. I saw a weak, pathetic man drowning in the mess he made. And I realized my revenge was complete. I hadn't needed to lift a finger. His own choices had destroyed him. You have two choices, I told him, not as an enemy, but as the voice of the reality he avoided. Drown in your pity party, or get up and build something real for your child. Something in him shifted. He started listening, really listening.
The Phoenix. The birth of my daughter, Zoe, was a storm of pain and power. Justin was there, a nervous shadow in the corner, holding an absurdly large teddy bear. When they placed her on my chest, a love so fierce it was terrifying obliterated every last remnant of bitterness. This was my purpose. Not revenge, not Justin, this. The man who left me with a note calling me useless now showed up for scheduled visits, sometimes with diapers, sometimes with ridiculous tiny outfits. He paid his child support. He was trying, clumsily, to rebuild. My life, meanwhile, blossomed in the space he'd vacated. I repainted the apartment sage green, I built a career from home, and I met Eli, the grocery delivery guy with kind eyes and dad jokes scribbled on my receipts. It wasn't a whirlwind, it was a gentle, steady warmth, the kind that doesn't demand, but simply exists. On my birthday, 1 year after The Box, my home was filled with real friends, real laughter. Justin stopped by to drop off a gift, a bracelet with Zoe's birthstone. He didn't stay. He didn't need to. As I held my sleeping daughter later, looking around at the life I'd built with my own 2 hands, I felt it. Not triumph, not even forgiveness. Gratitude. The cruelest moment of my life had forced me to become the strongest version of myself. The useless girl was gone. In her place was a mother, a survivor, a woman who knew her own worth couldn't be contained in a box or destroyed by one. Justin's note is in Zoe's memory box now, next to her first ultrasound photo. It's not a relic of pain, it's a receipt, proof of the transaction that brought me here. I traded his definition of me for my own, and I got the better deal. If this story of silent strength and spectacular comeback resonated with you, then you understand that the most powerful reactions are often the quietest. Don't just listen, subscribe to Clara's Revenge. Hit that notification bell because every week we deliver true stories of breathtaking transformation where the underestimated become the unstoppable. Your support fuels our mission to turn betrayal into blueprints for unshakable futures. Subscribe now and join a community that knows the sweetest victory is a life rebuilt on your own terms.